Have you been getting ads from Marie Forleo's Time Genius program? This is actually, as I make this video, the second time that the program is launching, and on this channel, back at its initial launch, we reviewed the sales page and learned what we could from the techniques, gave recommendations for what we might do differently, even down to not just the copywriting, but also there was some interesting stuff going on with the design. So in today's video, we're going to look at the new version of the sales page, which I've only skimmed. This is going to be almost a first reaction to it, and compare it with some of the recommendations that we made and see if there's anything new we can learn from Marie Forleo's techniques. So let's head into it. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Emma. I am the founder of a branded copywriting boutique based here in Toronto called Emma Gibbons Content and Copy. So if you're interested in copywriting, content marketing, and entrepreneurship, we put out videos on these topics every single Thursday, and I'd love it if you'd consider subscribing and hit the notification bell so you never miss a new episode. So today we're going to be looking at the new version of the Time Genius sales page. I've only briefly skimmed it, but enough to know that there are some changes. So a few months ago on this channel, we had a lot of fun reviewing the original version of the sales page. There's going to be a link to the video in an information card and in the description box below. I'd recommend, if you haven't seen that already, to go check it out first, because it's a really valuable video, but also the comment section is really fun. You're going to be able to see how everybody's experiences of that pages were different as well from a design perspective. It was so interesting. And just watching it will give you some context as well in terms of some of the comparisons that I will be making and references to recommendations and whether they happened or not on the new version of the sales page. So do check that out first, but if you're ready to go, then let's head over to my computer and let's take a look at the new and improved, hopefully, version of the Time Genius sales page. Welcome to my computer. So we are on the new Time Genius sales page, and just in case, I do have pulled up the original sales page right to the beginning of our review of it in case I want to compare. I did rewatch it just moments ago, and anything that's exactly the same, I won't be speaking about today. So if you want to see every single component covered, you'll definitely want to check out the original video too. So a couple of things are automatically new. This bar at the top of the page, oh, when I went through it, yeah, that's super strange. At first, it wasn't following me. It doesn't follow you, I guess, when you're up here in the blue section. But then at a certain point in the page, it seems like it comes back. That is different. That didn't happen the first time. That makes sense. The goal here is to create a fear of missing out, which I think is valid in the case of Time Genius because it is a live experience, or at least the portions that have Marie kind of group coaching you is over a certain number of days. It sounds like you get access to coursework much longer, but there is a certain element of actual fear of missing out. So I'm okay with its use in that case. We don't want it to be manipulative or inauthentic like a lot of sales pages do. Let's just say that. So it also gives you an easy to click button that should automatically, if I click this, take us down to the payments section of the page. So something I'm noticing is that this page, despite getting rid of the weird parallax effects that were seriously slowing down the page the last time and actually were significant design flaws. So I couldn't even see a good chunk of the text at the top of the page. And I wasn't the only one. I heard people on many different browsers, particularly. It didn't seem to be as much the case between mobile versus PC / desktop. It seemed to be more Chrome versus Internet Explorer versus Safari. And it wasn't working functionally on a lot of the page. But this time, even though we're not having this problem again, this page, for whatever reason, is still loading super slowly, which is not good in terms of the page's performance. For SEO benefits, you want to have a super quickly loading page. And it's also better from an accessibility perspective too. Now, I did do an interview recently with Jonathan Friedman about how to make sure that your website is SEO friendly and accessible at the same time. So you'll definitely want to check that out. We'll make sure that in today's show notes, you can access that as well. But this is one of the reasons why the original Time Genius sales page with this temperature bar was really flawed, because that's all I could see. It wasn't supposed to be a temperature bar. It was supposed to be a clock. Which makes more sense with Time Genius. But it just outright did not load on my Chrome laptop, and other people saw portions of it. Like, I was able to see it on my mobile version, portions of it, but I never ever got to see the whole page. I just saw a screenshot at one point. So thank goodness they took that away and they simplified it. But for one reason or another, this page still loads super, super slowly. So this is what they've done instead. The clock is gone. The parallax effects are gone. They've made it a much flatter page, but a more functional page. It's more important that it does its job than that it looks pretty, especially from an accessibility perspective. So now I can actually appreciate all the pain points, and it's priming my brain for the right psychological journey, because I was not primed looking at the sales page because it was not connecting to potential pain points. And I probably fit in her ideal market. I am a business owner. Time is a major issue, but I just didn't have the opportunities to get into the right frame of mind the first time. So let's see if that changes. Constantly overwhelmed and stressed out. That's the one I was able to see. The one I was able to see. Always busy with nothing but a small bank account to show for it. I just wasn't expecting that. That's probably why my voice went up. With nothing but a small bank account to show for it. I mean, I can understand this. I just wasn't expecting the sentence to end this way, so I would not have phrased it this way. I would probably have referenced the fact that they're running a business before just always busy. Because what if they're not thinking that this is a very specific ideal client. So maybe this isn't for just the average mom who's busy with every aspect of her life. Maybe this is very much for a business owner who considers themselves busy because of business and nothing else. But I just thought that was very weirdly phrased. Exhausted from trying to do too many things. Disappointed you can't focus with switching to another idea or activity. Okay. The rest of these I get. Depleted because your mind never turns off from work. That one I definitely relate to. All right. Now we also see not only are the parallax effects gone, but the giant space between sections is gone. So let me actually pull this up in comparison on the original page. Let's see if we can find it. So yeah, we had huge spaces between sections. It's so much less now. I noticed this in a couple of spots on the page when I first took a skim at it. So I'm very happy about that. Now we get to the most important new thing that is happening on this page. And that is that since it launched once and they did have initial intake, they have gone hard on the testimonials, which makes a ton of sense because I think time management courses are a very hard sell. Genuinely. There are tons out there. There are tons that are way more affordable, like thinking about things like Skillshare or library books. It's hard for me to imagine that anything Marie Forleo is teaching in this course is going to be 100% new. It's more that you're getting to learn from her and the way she'll deliver it. So they need to use testimonials. They need that social proof to be able to reach a wider audience because there's a lack of justification in spending the amount of money that this course costs without social proof. It's absolutely essential. And you'll see that she's often picked throughout this page when I did take an initial look at it. Any social proof that uses numbers to create some sort of specificity, it helps the mind kind of relax and feel like this is more justified. There's some data behind this. As much as, of course, even from the beginning, they always tried to evoke emotions, which was the most important thing. But we want to justify those emotions with logic. So it's really interesting to see how that seems to play out in the testimonials they picked too. The rest of the text now is very much the same. A lot of this hasn't changed. Exactly the same wording a lot of the time, but one big difference being there's not the same giant blocks of white space in between things, which is good. Okay, this could be you. I believe this is all the same as well. Okay, the image here is different. I'm not 100% sure why. The first image wasn't bad. I think maybe this one more accurately reflects everything that's included right now. This I noticed was different. The VIP tag. It's not that they seem to have a VIP option. I guess it's just about creating that subconscious like VIP access in a sense to Marie Forleo, because this is one of the very rare live contact with Marie Forleo experiences you can get today. So this is the same, except I believe that the calls to action on the original sales page were largely enroll now, which isn't benefits focused. It's just not very positive. It's just a fact. Enroll now, which is fine. But, and I want to bring it up for comparison to make sure that we're doing this completely accurately, this comparison. Okay. Click to enroll now was the original call to action. Here, well, they're still not benefits focused. It's not, yes, I'm ready to take my time back, which can be a really, really good option. I don't know why they didn't actually use that strategy in their calls to action, because it's not like it's going to make the button enormous, but it's still better than the original CTAs. Yes, I'm ready. It's helping to reinforce those silent closes as well. Every time they've agreed with something like, yes, these pain points are relevant to me. See, it loads so slowly. Yes, I constantly feel overwhelmed and stressed out. Yes, I'm frustrated by constant interruptions. These are silent closes every time that they get you to nod yes. That's what we really want to do when we ask questions as well, is to make sure that the answer to those questions is yes. We try not to phrase them so that the answers are no, because we want those silent closes and agreements. So they're just reinforcing that here with, yes, I'm ready. Like I said, it would be stronger if, yes, I'm ready to benefit, to take my time back, to feel more relaxed. This is just the first things that come up off the top of my head. Okay, these are the same, with one very minor exception being that there was this icon the first time, and now they've made it more consistent by adding icons to all of them. So this is more of a design element as well. I think that's a good choice. We see more and more examples of real social proof. So they have their faces. They have the absolute most glowing reviews, which makes a ton of sense. And I believe this one does not give anything specifically in terms of what we talked about before with numbers, but it does tell an emotionally moving story, which is really, really important, right? Like, my mental and physical health would have suffered intensely. I'm positive I would have spent far more than the cost of this course to fix what I would have broken. This is something I've noticed in pretty much all the testimonials I skimmed through so far, which is that they're always talking about the return on investment, because the price point for this is such a hard sell compared to the fact that there's just so much on the market. So they've been very mindful about the testimonials they've chosen. So I really admire their choices there. I think these were really smart. Okay, this section is the same as before, but for some reason they flipped it. So the pink sidebar was actually on the left originally. Don't know why they flipped it. This is also laid out more point by point by point, top to bottom, where it was laid out a little bit more horizontally before. Again, these are some design elements. I do think it's a little easier to read. We've got into even more of these social proof examples. They're just strewn throughout the page. So another cool way that they've used those testimonials, now that they have them, is this section is different. These little clips of Marie, again, just a design change, but they've matched each week of the curriculum. Every module explanation is ended with a very brief excerpt of a testimonial. Again, this focus on that this was worth their money. I got my money's worth in the first lesson. So let's see what they did for the second one. Oh, and they're also highlighting that there's a lesson taught by someone Chris Carr, who's going to add credibility because she's also a huge name. And some people who are fans of her will definitely want to make sure they have access. So this one, they've added more. It's not just, again, about money and the value, but there is a little bit more context to this testimonial. I think I would normally have just the same format the whole way through. It's kind of odd in terms of the amount of text available. We want to make sure it's pretty consistent so that there's kind of a rhythm to the page. So I would probably just have included this bolded section. I wouldn't have put this more detailed explanation or more detailed excerpt of their testimonial unless I had already done that with the first module to keep it consistent, to keep that repetition going on. Next, we have, this one is again more like the second one. So again, we see numbers, right? 72 is a specific number 3 days back. So anytime you can connect it with data, it's going to enhance the justifying nature of social proof. So they were really smart to use examples like that one. So I think we're good to keep moving forward. Again, it loaded kind of slowly. Now we're getting into, I believe this is the chunk that I saw where, no, there's a chunk later where it's literally just, oh, this is so strange to me. This is so long compared to the other ones. This totally breaks all of my experience with how to make use of rhythm on a sales page. So it's a good testimonial, but I wouldn't have put this giant excerpt here. I would have just gone either only use bold through all the modules or only use bold plus 2 paragraphs for all of them. Some of them are just bold. Some of them are just 1 paragraph. It's odd, I think, the choice of testimonials they've picked. I guess, now, of course, that being said, they're probably matching these testimonials to the content of the module, but still, I'm imagining that this course got enough testimonials. They could have been a little bit more intentional about which ones they paired, or at least the way that they excerpted to use it. So I think that point is made. So this is something new. I believe your life is too precious to waste drowning in overwhelm. I don't like this. I think it's effective, but again, something that we notice a lot with the original sales page is that there's some shame triggering that is being used as a tool on the Time Genius sales page, which is not the philosophy that I write copy with. I'm focused on compassionate copywriting. That's more reflecting, like, if you're already in pain, I want to appreciate you and show you that I understand, but I don't want to make you feel something that you didn't already feel. I don't want to make you feel ashamed when that's not a helpful emotion anyway. I don't think it's effective. It absolutely met enough people to know that this is not just myself, where any sales copy that triggers shame is actually a complete turnoff. And any amount of confidence or trust that had been built, it can really immediately kind of dissipate that trust. And you can do a lot of this much more effectively by evoking more positive emotions. So it may not get you an immediate result when you're focused more on creating positive emotions, but you will have much more satisfied clients in the long run. So positive emotions are things like nostalgia does really, really well. It's why BuzzFeed articles and quizzes do super, super well all the time. It's why in the makeup industry, any of those, like, let's say it's a Lizzie McGuire themed palette or something like that, those do incredibly well, especially throughout 2021 and into 2022. So that's a good example of a positive emotion that does increase sales. Shame, other than making people impulse buy, I have never seen it positively increase sales and the quality of that clientele as well. It doesn't tend to create return clients in my experience. And I think that's more and more true as we're heading deeper into the 21st century. And especially with online business owners, being in this community myself, there's a lot of skepticism and a lot of awareness around the fact that some of these phrases are triggering shame. More awareness than you would see in the general public. So I'd be very, very careful about phrasing like this, using words like waste. If you're not going to buy this, you're wasting something. The original sales page used words like making small decisions, basically saying if you don't buy this, you're making small decisions in your life. It's very shaming, and it's not effective. Okay, that point I think is clear. So let's keep going. This is new. The original sales page did try to explain the fact that this is a live virtual experience. They used a lot the term live online experience, and I've noticed in a couple of places that it didn't say virtual before. They've added that. But the original one had it had 3 points instead of this box with lifetime access. So one of the things that the original one said, I'm not sure if I can bring it up right now, is that you only had 365 days access. And I think this is a smart choice to make sure that people have lifetime access, because it tends to be what Marie Forleo usually does. She does this with B-School, where as you get new content in the course, anyone who's already purchased it can continue to access it. So let's see if I can pull this up. Yeah. Unlimited access to core training, 365 days is what it originally said. And I think that they've made a good choice here with this lifetime access. It's going to help justify the investment for sure, because it's not just that you get access to this for 5 days, which is, I think, the first impression that the original page gave a lot. 5 days. I'm not sure if it was a 7-day live experience, but it's not just for the length of the live experience. I think they've done a good job making that clear throughout this page, but also it's not just you have to complete it within a year. You get access to it for your entire life. That is fantastic. I think that's going to really, really help them sell. And using some of the same language that they use when they sell B-School, which I think is really smart. If you want to attend the future live coaching, you get a benefit of an exclusive alumni only rate. That is really good language. That word exclusive makes you feel like you're part of the in crowd. You're already part of the team. Very, very well done. I really like this box. Okay, this should be the section. No, I keep thinking we're getting to that section. It's such a long sales page where we're just going to go deep into testimonials. But this is the same as last time, the bonuses. Refer to the original video for my thoughts on the way that they use bonuses. Another really slow load. Okay, finally we get to it. Time Genius works. Here's proof. Simple, to the point. this is where they go heavy into social proof. They need to for this course. Not every single course or program or service is going to need this degree of social proof. And there's sometimes much better ways to sell it. It's, you being able to track 87% of clients raise prices after a service. I saw that on one of my recent clients' stats. That's a very, very powerful one. But they're consistently choosing examples where people are using numbers, like even 10 out of 10 recommend. Some examples have more emotion in them as well. I think it's also helpful that they've included where people are from. So it shows that this isn't just particularly Americans, because I think a lot of online business, we assume everything's targeted towards Americans, but I saw an example of Canada in there. It's paid off 10 times already, multiple 7 figures. We see tons and tons and tons of examples of numbers. Okay, let's keep going. So you can see there's so many. This is not standard. I think they were very aware about the fact that this is a hard sell. So they're really emphasizing that more and more and more. This is the same as before. These numbers are not the same. I think they have adjusted the bonuses somewhat, so the comparative value is different. And I want to mention something here. They have done a good job to use a comma in this large number, 21,692, because that stretches a number out, so it makes it feel bigger. It's also easier to read. But it's a good best practice to try and make a number feel smaller, to remove the comma. And especially with a number this small, it's not going to make a difference in reading it. So they absolutely should have just said 1497, because subconsciously that makes it feel like a much smaller number. Small thing, but it actually makes quite a big difference. And I strongly recommend, if you write proposals, that you do this, you follow this practice as well. Also, the blue coloring here, they did not have before on the smaller number. Blue is a really good color to use whenever you want someone to opt into something. So for example, you might also have your buttons instead of being orange, it's fine. It's part of branding. But oftentimes blue buttons, and this is also especially true in emails, blue hyperlinks, blue buttons get more clicks. Super powerful. And you could even use a less inviting color to compare with something you're saying is bad, right? So they could have made, they could have made the 21,000 number red or something like that. And you could also use green if you're going to use red to create some contrast, but blue is really proven to do well. Okay, this is my least favorite section. I go into this in detail in the original video. A lot of you agreed with me, which it makes sense. What are your dreams worth to you? That is the same as before. The imagine, the options, the celebrity endorsements. The questions, I believe, are all the same. The difference being that instead of having them expandable, so let's see if we can pull these up here, where essentially you saw the questions, but you didn't automatically see the answers. Yeah. So you see that we would have had to expand them. Here, there's not that many questions. It's already a long form sales page, so I think this is fine to not have them expandable. It means that also skimming, some people who might not think that they need the justification, it provides them the opportunity to catch on numbers. Numbers are going to draw their eyes more than anything else, which again is a theme we're seeing here. However, this is a huge sales page. So for ease of readability, you might have it set up so that they expand. For accessibility, it may make the most sense for them not to be expandable, but to just by default being text like this. So there's pros and cons to each side. So I just want to really highlight that there are some differences there. They kept this the same. Will you scroll through life or live it? Was I able to see that on the original one? Let me see. Because the will you scroll through life is absolutely the same. But with all the parallax effects and everything that was not functional on the page, I don't remember that. That's why. Oh, that would absolutely slow your page down. It was very cool looking, let's not lie. It was very cool looking, but it's going to absolutely slow your page down. So I think this was a safer choice because, who cares if something looks cool if it doesn't function right, if it takes forever to load. We just want them to get that message across. Now, they need to double check things like this. This is a good reason why, especially what we saw last time with Marie Forleo sales page, but we also want to make sure that we're double checking all of our work across multiple browsers,
on desktop version and on mobile version because of things like this. Now, this is a small thing in a huge page, but if you're really trying to look credible, especially if you're more of a newer name, you're going to want to make sure that small things like this, they can accidentally detract from the professionalism that's being portrayed. So just double check things, because this is small, but we saw the fact that this original Times Genius page went live through someone as huge as Marie Forleo, and there were design flaws in the page on like the public facing page, which is not good. This is not what we want. This happened again here. So they really need to be testing before things go public. Speaking of that, I don't know how many of you had signed up for the email list to keep track of how Time Juice was going. I did, so that way I would know when the page is live. And multiple places where it was the waitlist page and also on the waitlist confirmation email, it was confirmed, and I took some screenshots, but I don't know where they are. But it was confirmed that it was supposed to be January 11th that this page would go live, that you would be able to enrollment would be open. But it did not go live on January 11th. It did not go live on January 12th. Trust me, I checked because I was going to record this video. So double checking that kind of stuff is really, really, really important. I'm just surprised with a team as big as Marie Forleo's that they've had so many issues like this. It shows that they're human, and that even with a big company, you'll always run into things. But that being said, I was a little disappointed, especially because I needed it, right? But if I was excited to enroll too, like, well, what happened? I put myself on the wait list. It was supposed to open this day. I can't do it. Am I doing something wrong? Did I not go to the right link? Right? It can just create confusion, and a confused mind does not buy. Okay. Let me get to the bottom of the page. Last thought would be I would probably put a testimonial closer to the end section of the page, because we've had so many and then all of a sudden they disappear. So look how slow it loads. I'd love to hear what you guys think as well. Out of the things that did change, we saw some things definitely get taken into account, like spacing. The spacing was much better. Functionality of the page did improve. It's still not perfect, but it did improve, and that's really, really important. But some of the things that were most important for me around some of the language being used, mostly the shaming language and this section. Let's see if I can pull it up. It's hard when it doesn't load properly. What if I've gone past it because it didn't load properly? Yeah, I think I went past it. Who it's not for. I really didn't like this the first time around, and it's still here. And yeah, from an accessibility perspective, and if you want to make sure that people stay on your page, that they can find your page, you need to make sure that it loads quickly from an SEO perspective. Okay, I'm going to wrap that up here, and let's head back over to our regular video.
All right, so what did you think of Marie Forleo's new sales page for Time Genius? I'd love to hear what your thoughts were in the comments below. Did you agree with my points? Is there something I missed that you think is really important? Please let us know. All right, so if you'd like to stick around a little longer, you'll see some options on the screen for some recommended videos that you might hop over to next. Otherwise, I'll see you next Thursday for the next episode on the Emma Gibbons Content and Copy channel. See you soon.